Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Voltron Legendary Defender, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Justin Cummings, and today I'm joined by Jeff Anderson.
Howdy.
And Andy Potter.
Hey there.
Today we will be going through episodes 2 and 3 of Season 4 of Voltron Legendary Defender. If you're just joining us, we already did a podcast on episode 1. We will be doing a podcast on episodes 4 and 5, and then one on the finale. We have podcasts going all the way back to the beginning of the show if you want to get caught up. You can find all our podcasts at overlyanimated.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes by going to overlyanimated.com/iTunes or search Overly Animated on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. So, we had some fantastic episodes here, so instead of a traditional outline, I have come up with a few segments that we will be going through today, and hopefully these segments should cover all of our bases that we need for these episodes. So, before we get into our segments, let's start. Jeff, what were your overall thoughts on these episodes?
Well, I'm a big fan. There was some fun bits in this episode 2 having to do with signal analysis, cryptography, things of that nature that I have experience in. So that was fun to think about. And some really good emotional hits as well in this episode 2. Episode 3, huge fan of. I love political intrigue with the Galaran Empire, so.
We will definitely be getting into political intrigue. Andy, what were your overall thoughts on these 2 episodes?
I thought they were really good, and I think it says a lot about the season that I think the 3rd episode is the worst one, because I still think it's a really good episode, but I think I like it a little less than the other one, but the first 3 episodes so far have just been really great. They've really stepped it up for this season. I really enjoyed them a lot.
Yeah, these were really solid, and this is why I kind of feel okay doing them together, because they kind of felt like 2 halves of one episode. I don't know if y'all got that at all.
I agree.
I agree as well.
In fact, after I went back, I was like, I watched them both, and I was like, man, a lot of stuff happened in this episode. And then I realized, wait, no, this is across 2 episodes, but they just blended together so well.
It does. It really feels like a 2-parter of, like, part 1 is finding Matt, and part 2 is, like, Matt meeting the gang, and, like, it really flowed very, very nicely, and it's rare that we get that kind of flow across 2 episodes that aren't specifically connected, and so I thought that was pretty cool.
But it definitely feels like Matt might be taking a leave of absence soon, like going off to help the rebels in some way and just disappearing for a little while, because that's usually what happens in these 2-parters like this when we find a family member. They show up for a couple episodes, and then they are safe but somewhere off screen.
Just to spoil, after 4 seasons of trying to get Matt, we're just gonna rip it away from people.
Well, I just don't. That's what it just felt like. It felt like we were really, because usually you have these episodes like this where we really show what their skills are. We like hit a bunch of moments in Black Site, and then that felt like enough where it's like, okay, cool, we can push Matt to the sidelines now and not worry about it from a show perspective. He might even be on the Castle of Lions. I just don't think we're going to see him a ton. That's all.
What if Matt becomes a paladin?
I don't think that's going to happen.
We'll see. I'm just saying, this show might be like, you thought we were going to have 2 female paladins? Ha! Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! And replace either Pidge or Laura with Matt.
Oh, man.
I mean, if Matt became the Green Paladin, we could reuse a lot of shots.
Matt doesn't seem like he's as full-fleshed a character to do that. You need like a lot more characterization before that's even a thing that I would be okay with.
So, let's get right into our first segment, Pidge-a-Palooza, which we've been saying we needed some more Pidge character development. Is everyone happy with our current Pidge character development at the moment? Can we take a break from Pidge for a second now? Are we happy?
I'd say yes.
Yeah, I really like this episode. We got a lot of stuff with Pidge, and the scene with him running through with her running through the cemetery was really, really emotional. Especially with the numbers, from the helmet reading the numbers and her crying while that was all going on. That was just a really emotional scene. And I was really impressed with what the team did with that.
it was excellently executed, and it was somewhat undermined by the fact that the title of the episode is Reunion, and the thumbnail that Netflix picked for it is them two face to face.
Oh my god. I was thinking the exact same thing. Why'd they pick that thumbnail? It was horrible.
In fact, they really could have picked consider the title Pursuit, right? So, Pursuit of her brother, and then also this random bounty hunter who I also have problems with is in pursuit of them. That would work, and it wouldn't be spoilery. So, shame.
It is.
This whole episode was basically just Pidge the episode. It was Pidge alone, and I don't mind that. Like, this was great. The use of flashback here was really cool, and it was just a very all-around solid Pidge episode. Like, because the first couple of seasons, it's like, you got Pidge going, I gotta find my brother and my dad, and then somewhere around late season 2, early season 3, it's like, what brother? And it just kind of feels like it's dropped off to the side, and this kind of reminded me how important it was.
Yeah. I'm glad you said Pidge alone, because this essentially followed Zuko Alone's structure to a T. It was like some stuff in the present, then a flashback with some emotional background, and then some stuff in the present, then some emotional background, like over and over and over again, just like Zuko Alone. It was really interesting. I liked it.
We just need to make it a recurring thing on Overly Anime where we say it's the Zuko Alone of this show.
But I mean, this is even more the Zuko Alone of the, like, this is even more like that than normal.
True, because we already said the episode with Shiro getting back to the ship was the Zuko Alone of Voltron. I think this just surpassed that.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but I'm not going to argue it. I think that Shiro Alone, I think, embodied it a bit more, because he was actually alone. But
Pidge was alone for a large portion of the episode.
Anyways.
Except with the merchant and such. What did y'all think of that showdown?
Oh, that was really cool.
With the merchant? Oh, yes. No, enjoyed that. And I liked the intro to this bounty hunter after the fact. Like, when he interrogates the tied-up merchant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He came across as this season's Sparky Boom Man. Yeah.
I thought he was going to have more of a role, and it just looks like he's
villain of the week, and that makes me really sad because they really could have had something cool with him.
Yeah, I was hoping for kind of recurring villain role for the bounty hunter.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it can be done well, but it's possible they just have too many players on the field right now, and they got to trim it down. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
See what happens next week.
The show is getting a bit crowded.
It is, but the only thing that's good is that there really aren't villains of the week every episode now, which is nice. I'm okay with the villain of the week showing up one time and then because the other 2 episodes we've had this season that we've seen they just have general themes in the Galran Empire is the enemy. There's no there's a lizard man we have to fight this episode, just this one, which I think it makes me feel a little better about it, I guess.
I think especially because we were leaving the Castle of Lions, we were going out to a specific location, and there happened to be one Galra there. It kind of felt more believable as a villain of the week, as opposed to Zarkon sitting on his throne. Now, monster, go attack the castle because we did it 7 days ago, and we'll do it 7 days from now. It felt believable that you're out on your own in Galra controlled space. You run into a Galra. It felt more believable, and I think that's why I'm so okay with it.
Yeah, I agree, but I still do agree with Jeff saying that this guy was pretty cool, and his introduction was pretty cool, and it kind of hyped me up for something that was kind of never really came to fruition.
Yeah. So we're all very happy with Pidge's development. What did you think of Pidge showing Matt everything in the castle?
That was in Blackside, right? The third episode. Yeah, that was. I actually kind of thought it went on a little too long. I the cow joke was really funny. The first time the cow came up, when he's like, "This is our cow," and I was like, "Oh my god, they brought it back." But I think it went on a little too long. They could have just jumped to some of the conversations with Hunk a little quicker, I think. But I mean, it was still fun seeing Pidge be that happy.
And Matt's introduction to Allura was hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Where are we on ship level here? I need.
We're outside the ship.
Yes, it was outside the ship.
Yes, it was. It was.
Yeah, the whole anime thing, and then then Lance comes in and is like, "No, you won't either."
That was when I started cracking up. Was just Lance's face peering out from behind. That was because at first I was like, "Okay, this is a bit cliche," and then Lance just slowly sliding out was just perfect.
It really was.
And even more ammo to dump on the fire of Shiro being fake. Like, you see them standing right next to each other, and he doesn't even, like, change his expression at all. It's weird.
Shiro brought Matt in for a hug.
Oh, yeah, but his face didn't change.
Yeah,
and
but it was
it's
a
the
good
eyes.
hug.
The eyes are just dead.
I know a good hug when I see a good hug, and that was a good hug.
I'm kind of on Jeff's side here, but I'm not sure if that was on purpose or just they might have missed something in animation. I hope it was on purpose, and it was just like we're supposed to see that he's kind of not all there. The spirit of Shiro isn't really there, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
so do we
have on purpose?
Do we have any other comments for Pidgeapalooza?
Go on.
I just want to say that I'm really satisfied with the fight scenes that Pidge got. I was really happy to see that Pidge can stand her ground against a lot of different people here, and that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the fight scenes we got,
especially with the this rebel group trying to get the carriers off the surface of the planet. I mean, we talked last time about the need for the show to actually show us what these rebels are all up to. And we hadn't gotten that, so now we got a bit of that. We still are missing a bit of the command and organizational structure, but at least we got down in the dirt a little bit with some people. So that was nice.
I was actually surprised that Pidge, one of the Paladins of Voltron, didn't understand their structure. I thought that the Paladins understood the structure. The show just wasn't showing us. But now it's clear that they just don't understand what's going on at all. Like, they know as little that's going on with the rebels as we do, essentially, it seems like. Because Pidge had no clue what this, like, transponder she got was for finding her brother. It was kind of surprising to me, I guess.
It's possible they had to do that to avoid exposition and to, have us, the audience, discover this along with her,
Yeah.
But still, I totally agree.
Yeah, I get why they did it for, like, the storytelling. It just feels weird when you think over the show in general. That's all.
Yeah. Some of the flashbacks with her and her brother were interesting. When they're going over the code book and the encryption that they use. So first off, I thought that her brother's complete disregard for modern cryptography was a bit interesting and suspect, but they do what they do, I guess. It's just it's all about the threat model. So if I'm concerned with someone hoovering up all my communication, I want to use really strong modern cryptography that they won't be able to crack. If I'm concerned with a nation state who has huge amounts of resources, like possibly this galactic science thing, and they would also be aware of all my personal details of my life, then I think this encryption scheme makes a little bit more sense. Like, they have this book that they share, very primitive, as Pidge correctly points out, and still they don't rely on it completely. They layer something on top of that. However, the scheme as described still, I think, is subject to some cryptographic attacks. For example, there is a class of cryptographic algorithms called, like, ROT. Most commonly it's like ROT 13, which is really like no cryptography at all. You just, like, rotate all the characters 13 spaces in the alphabet. So, like, A becomes J or whatever, and Z becomes K.
That was the Caesar cipher, right?
No, I think Caesar cipher has a predetermined substitution matrix. So you just come up with, okay, A is going to be F, and G is going to be K, and there's no order to it. You just make that up, and then you send that substitution matrix along with the message. I believe so. ROT 13 comes with a standard substitution matrix. And the problem with these is it doesn't matter how convoluted your substitution matrix is, it's subject to frequency analysis. So once you know that what's being encrypted is English words, you can start picking out, like, okay, it's a 4-letter word, and the first and middle 2 letters are the same. Don't know what they are, but they're the same, because they got rotated to the same position. And then you can work through and figure out what the sentence might be based on the probability distributions of these letters in the English language. So that's why it's not the best sound example. However, it is good, I think, if they wanted to establish a cryptographic channel where it's lossy, like modern cryptography. If you flip 1 bit in the ciphertext, you will not get anything out of that. That's the goal anyways. You corrupt it at all and you can't decrypt it. What he's describing seems to be a bit primitive and more tolerant to little fuzzing issues, like little tiny mistakes. There's a lot less information being sent across, so there's less chance for error. Another little funny thing, if you look at his computer screen when he's describing his cryptographic algorithm, there is some actual code on screen, and there's actually a Tumblr site for this, like code in movies or something, code in film. And I zoomed in and enhanced it and figured out it's actually Objective-C. There is a URL, there's a domain name embedded in it, and if you go to that site, you can actually visit it, and it's some developer who put up a tutorial on how to communicate between an iOS app and a Node.js server sending out a heartbeat every so often. I couldn't find the exact code because I think the zip file he published is 404ing and I can't find an archive of it, but pretty darn sure that's his code. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't even know where they would have got that code because I can't find it.
So the screen in the show leads you to a coding tutorial.
Yep.
That is amazing. See, this is why I scheduled a science stuff segment. So save some of this for the science stuff. Because
okay.
I knew this would happen. I knew that one of you two would have some really obscure science detail that would be awesome. So whatever else you have up your sleeve, science stuff.
Okay. Not science, though, is the scene at the graveyard, the gravesite. He decodes the code. Cool. But it's interesting, like, they never really get into why was that code put there. Obviously, Matt wanted to fake his own death and leave a code that, as far as I know, only 2 people in the entire universe could have followed, according to Matt's belief. Mm-hmm. That is, his dad and his sister. Now, he had no hope of his sister ever getting there, which is why he was so surprised. So that code must have been left there for his dad. And they never really touch on that. So that's interesting and a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, do you think Matt was surprised that it was Pidge and not his dad that showed up?
Of course, yeah. I mean, he's like, how in the world did you find me? That code was obviously not meant for her.
Follow up. Do you think he's disappointed?
Oh, heck no. No, the familial bond between these two is just so evident in these 2 episodes. Like, he's so proud of her and she's so cool and so happy that he's back. And, every other scene is like, oh, my little sister, my gosh.
Thoughts?
He would have to be seriously psychologically disturbed to actually be disappointed and resentful at this stage. It shows like an Azula level ability to hide your emotions.
Andy, thoughts on this?
I agree that they legitimately love each other, and they're really, really close. I could have done, as a viewer, with a little bit less of it, because each of the scenes kind of flowed the same exact way is what I meant by I was kind of done with the tour of this ship scene. It was just Pidge would do something, and Matt would be really, really impressed. And that's really cute, and I liked that. I liked that we saw that Matt and Pidge were really close. But as a viewer, I wanted a little bit more variance in what I was seeing. We could have jumped a little more to the Galran Empire in that episode, I think, than we did to see Matt and Pidge doing things. That's all I really meant.
Right.
But it was very clear that they loved each other.
I think it's time for our next segment, Cowtown.
Oh my god.
Moo. That's my sound effect, because we don't have a soundboard anymore. That's my sound effect.
This was one of the better callbacks I think this show has ever done.
This made me so happy because I saw it in the episode description. The group gets a cow, and I'm like, that's kind of misleading because they didn't get a cow.
They had
yeah,
a cow.
they did. They retrieved it from the mall.
Well,
no,
the
the
episode description said they get it in this episode. Like, for this episode, it said the gang gets a cow. They had the cow from the mall, like, season 2.
Now, wait a minute. No, if I recall that episode, I was a bit confused because I thought that was like a plastic cow model that they were just.
No, it was a real cow.
No,
Okay.
it was a real cow. It just never moved until the very end of the episode when it mooed once.
Okay.
That was we were it was kind of implied that was a plastic cow until the very end of the episode.
Was it Lance who was like, where did the cow come from, or something like that?
Yeah. I forget who actually picked up the cow.
And now
But they
Lance
also-
loves the cow.
Yeah, he loves the cow. But Lance was playing a video game system from the mall as well in this episode, which was also cool.
Oh gosh, I love the scene. Like all the sounds they layered on, like the Windows boot up sound, the modem sound. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it was
It's like
ultimate mid to late 90s nostalgia, like.
and I love that he had like 5 different like connectors to get it working on the Altean ship. That
so
was really
many
cool.
connectors.
Yeah, it was really funny.
It's
Killbot Phantasm 1, Journey to the Depths of Demon Sphere.
Yeah. It
Very
was
good.
great.
I want someone to make this game playable, and knowing the internet fandoms, this game will be playable soon. Like,
Yeah.
someone is already like, alright, I have RPG Maker, let's do this.
Yeah. Also, Lance did like the classic I'm playing video games, don't bother me voice in this scene. Like, no, not right now. Not right now. I'm doing something. I'm busy. Like, just the classic, like, I'm trying to focus. I can't save right now. And I really enjoyed that. They really captured that I'm playing video games voice really well.
Yeah.
And I really love his tunic. Like, while he's just lounging around, it looks very, like, fancy and formal.
I think that was from the mall too, but I might be wrong about that.
So this episode is just like, Matt's here, also all the mall references you can handle.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great.
Like, literally, we were one Slav away from being in the mall.
We were. Also, we haven't mentioned yet, but Allura and Karan's interactions with the cow were all pretty good. They were pretty
fantastic.
fun.
And then the
whole
way they
scene
freak
of
out,
just-
I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna freak out as soon as they see what's actually going down.
Also, Lance did like the grossest thing ever this episode, where he just drank milk straight from like out of the cow's udder, which is like not what you're supposed to do.
Okay, Andy, I'm gonna stop you right there, because we're gonna... I've seen us get some weird feedback for episodes, for obscure things. You're gonna upset the dairy people, Andy.
Okay.
Because some people really defend that unpasteurized milk straight from the udder is the most healthy way to drink it. Like, if you know your cow, like, is healthy, then that it's usually okay. It's warm, it's creamy, like, Lance was right, it's basically a milkshake at that point, but there were some people who will stand by it.
Okay. I'll admit I've never had milk straight from the cow, so I'll concede this.
Yeah, so I do not want to start a dairy war of all things. Like, let's not do that.
Listeners, do not flame us over unpasteurized milk. That'd be nice.
If they did, it would be one of the greatest things to happen, though, because I know people would be passionate and they'd be right, and like I don't want that to happen. So I rarely correct people's opinions, but let's just not insult unpasteurized milk.
I wasn't trying to insult. It was just strange. It was a
Call
strange
it gross.
scene.
That's insulting.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
What did y'all think of Lance's speech to the cow? At the very
It was a
end
good
of that
round off. It was a good round off of the episode, of that whole tie-in, whole storyline. I'd say.
This made me love Lance. Like, we needed more Lance moments in this episode delivered in spades. Like,
It did.
because we got Lance's reaction to Matt, we got Lance playing video games, and then we got Farmer Lance.
Yeah.
Old McLance.
I was
and
impressed that Lance could milk a cow so easily. I was impressed with that.
I mean, Lance likes milkshakes, I'm betting, because Lance is stereotypical Earth teenager. So, why would he not learn how to milk the cow to get the milkshakes?
Yeah. Also, it's interesting because I think this is one of the few interactions he's had with Allura where he isn't like just crushing out on her, I think. So that's always nice.
Yeah, I don't think he was flirting in this entire scene with Allura. The
Yeah.
cow, perhaps, but not Allura.
Yes. Oh my god.
This made me smile so much to see the cow back, and that they have a little pasture for the cow, and the cow just has a little hut that the cow lives in, and Allura has yet to actually speak to the cow. Like, it's been almost
She
2
hasn't figured
seasons
it out yet. They haven't figured out the cow language yet.
Yeah, the fact that it took Allura 2 seasons to realize that cows don't speak.
Yep.
That is indeed my favorite moment of the episode.
It was pretty good.
So, let's move on to our next segment. I'm going to throw it to you, Andy. Give us our Keith Watch 2K17.
This is about what I was expecting. I was expecting a few episodes without Keith, and these delivered. I'm glad they didn't have Keith, because these episodes were really stuffed, and I think there was no room for Keith to begin with in any of these episodes. Maybe we could have seen, like... No, actually, no, I'm going to go back on that. Yeah, this is right. No Keith at all is right here. Maybe we'll see Keith next episode. I unfortunately, because of how Netflix works, I saw the title of the next episode, and I think there might be a spot for Keith in that kind of episode, but maybe not. We'll have to wait and see.
This is not a spoiler. I'm sure you guys saw it too. When I was leaving Netflix, it showed like the generic like logo for the season, and it's like Keith and Shiro like with the screen like split.
Oh yeah,
like,
I
the
saw
red
that.
and the black backgrounds, and like it's not a spoiler obviously because it's not like from any episode. It's just kind of like the logo for the season, but. Why is it the logo for the season, Netflix? Like...
Did you see it after this episode, the third one? Because I only saw it after the first episode where it made sense to me.
I saw it whenever I was leaving Netflix. Like, every time I went back to the season page, it was up.
That's interesting. And I hope
I hope it means we get at least one more thing, at least a mention of Keith before the season, by the end of the season.
Oh, he's definitely coming back by the season finale. I think that this is showing... We haven't seen a lot of the Paladins actually doing stuff, but the way they're using Shiro these episodes is really minimal, and makes me think that Shiro being in charge isn't gonna last very long.
Mm-hmm.
I think by the end of the season, Keith will be back in the Black Lion.
So that is our... What?
Also, they had the chance now to fix everyone's outfits, but they didn't with Shiro in charge. I just didn't get that out in the first podcast, but they had the chance now. Because if Keith just gave up his red outfit, then Lance could have the red outfit and Allura could have the blue one. But no, everyone's outfits are still messed up, and I do not like it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Like, the one in the black suit has the black line, the one in the green is green, yellow is yellow, blue is red, pink is blue. Oh, the red one? Nothing.
Nothing. Oh, also, did Keith take his Bayard with him when he left? Or do we know?
I don't think we saw. I'm presuming he left it.
So does that mean that Lance has the red Bayard now?
I think Lance already had the red Bayard.
No, because he was using... No. Keith was using the red sword Bayard during last season, and Lance was using, like, a random gun he found.
So, who's using the... So does Allura have a pink Bayard?
No, she has Lance's blue one.
So Keith may have his Bayard, y'all, like...
It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
I saw nothing to say he didn't. Like... We'll find out.
Sorry.
Just ruined my night.
We just had to make maximum confusion here with who has what Bayard and who has what Lion.
Next segment! No more Baynards.
Okay, what's the next segment, Justin?
It is time for science stuff with Jeff and Andy. Jeff and Andy, give me your science stuff.
Well, I went first, so...
Oh, You're throwing me under the bus here, Justin. I know rock stuff. Is there any rock questions you have about this episode? Any like astronomical questions? Because I can answer those.
Okay. The whole gravity thing in the cave, is that accurate?
Oh, that makes no sense. And also, the magnetic field of the asteroid makes absolutely no sense.
There we go. This is what I wanted.
Unless it's like literally a deposit of magnetite or something of that nature, like a magnetic rock. But even then, it doesn't make sense that ripping off a panel and whipping into it would connect you to like the magnetic field of the asteroid, even if it did have one. It just, this whole scene, like they could have just said there's like a generator in the asteroid and that would have been like, yes, this makes sense. But the weird like magnetic field thing just does not work. It's just not how astral bodies work. And so it made no sense to me, but I was fine with it because the fight scene was cool. Other than that, they might have like weird Star Trek-y gravity generators we haven't seen, but other than that, like the gravity stuff just doesn't make sense. But that's just for any sci-fi show.
See, this is what I wanted. Like, you act so surprised that I ask you for science things, and then you're like, I don't know anything, and then I mention one scene, and you're like, okay, that, yes!
No, it's not that they don't know anything, it's that the show is completely wrong in so many ways in physics. It's that you have to pinpoint something for me before I start talking about it. The show just kind of like lets physics be kind of whatever it wants to be. I guess is the way, physics works to an extent unless the show doesn't want it to.
Yeah, that seems accurate. Do you have any thoughts on any other physics elements of these episodes? In particular?
The only other physics thing that I was really upset with was in the first episode. But these two...
Was it in space? Was it like when Keith was floating in space?
Yeah, it was when he had the rip in his
yeah, he would have died.
Space. He would be dead. Like, we saw, like...
I don't know about that.
Alright, I like it. Science Discord. Okay, Jeff, Andy, fight. Go.
I'll let you go first.
Go on.
No. You think it would work?
Okay.
Right?
Well, it all depends on the material science of the suit because it's possible it does have some self-sealing properties. It's obviously very skin tight, so air doesn't have to like gush out of there, and it's not like in like Magic School Bus where you're exposed to space and you die like that. Like, no, you can't survive for some time, on the order of like 30 seconds or so.
But the issue for me is that his skin was bare to space, and like he should at least have a major injury from that, and they acted like it was nothing. Like
that seems like it would just be like frostbite or something.
Well, it would be more than frostbite because you also have the pressure problems there because his skin was exposed. And so then there should be some really screwy stuff with his body trying to push its way out through that tiny hole in the suit, which is kind of disgusting and horrible. But that's what I was most worried about. But I think the biggest problem is that he just wasn't injured at all, I guess.
This is why I like having you two on a podcast together. I can just be like, science, go.
Like, if you know more about it, that's fine. Like, my studies are, like... My major is not in spacesuits. I'll be completely honest.
I don't have any special knowledge either. My intuition is just a bit different, but that's all right.
Okay.
Neither of us
know,
so it's fine.
Yeah, no.
One thing I was
a bit, argument.
Sure. One thing I was a bit disappointed in was their terminology. Like when they were talking about this cryptography and whatever signal analysis, I wish they would have actually consulted with someone in the field. They may have done that because they use the word quantum and they use the word frequency, and so it checks the box for using pseudoscience terms. But I think they could have done a bit more. Like if I had been consulting it, okay, there's a few categories that we can munge around. There's quantum mechanics, there's cryptography, and in that field we have asymmetric cryptography and we have elliptic curve cryptography. These are buzzwords that are popular these days. There's also quantum cryptography is a thing. And then, signal analysis, Fourier transforms. Why didn't they use that word? They could have, when they're talking about frequencies, Fourier transform just fits right so easily. So a quantum Fourier transform or an elliptic Fourier transform, or, you can mix and match those and come up with a much more believable pseudoscientific term. And that would have been nice instead of quantum frequency.
How do you have this extensive knowledge of cryptography?
I did a master's degree in computer science, and I work as a cloud security engineer.
All right, that'll do it.
Yeah, your knowledge is much more applicable than these episodes. I have a geology degree. Like, this is we don't talk enough about what's actually going on with some of these planets for me to pick apart it as deeply. Like, you actually had some pseudoscience talk. People don't usually talk about, like, what's this type of dirt we're standing in, unfortunately, in shows.
I just let Andy scream about floating rocks, and that usually does the trick to
There's
sate
other
him.
problems with there's problems with that whole asteroid listening thing. But I mean, I guess they could have, like, they would have to, like, it's sitting in the middle of a field, so they'd need to, like, keep all the other asteroids around it from knocking into their listening station. That's also a problem just because they're in space. But I mean, that's also just rule of cool, I guess, because they're in an asteroid.
Space is just problematic. Whenever
people like portray asteroid fields in fiction, the asteroids are far, far more dense than they ever would be in real life. Like,
yeah,
you don't get like asteroids playing into each other very often because they're so far apart.
But with that said, they're still really dangerous, just not in the way, like, it's not dangerous in the way, like, we're going to fly through it. It's dangerous in the way, like, if you sit there, that thing's going to be just gone after a little bit. Like, if he just sat at a listening station in an asteroid field, it'd be gone pretty quick, but it wouldn't be like he could put his hand out and get hit by an asteroid or something like that. It's just that it's a really bad place to build something in general. Because things are still, like, those asteroids are still moving pretty quickly, just really far apart from each other.
Yeah, it depends on their relative speed. Are they moving relative to each other? Because if they're all just a big...
I'm working under the assumption that the listening station is, like, they put it somewhere and had it stay there. Because that's what it kind of got the impression from in this episode. Like, they had the listening station and somehow got it to not move because there was, like, stuff all around that asteroid, quote-unquote, field when it was just, like, a bunch of rubble, actually. Like, a better way to call that would be it's just space debris, honestly, not actually an asteroid field.
And with our asteroid fields, we move on to our final segment. Jeff called Nardi.
One other thing. That too, but on the topic of science, but not really science. This whole galactic science core, can't remember the exact name. I think they've put enough hints in this episode that they're a bit suspicious that they could come up again in a negative context, like some black site or like Black Ops stuff. Because
this season or next season?
Who knows? Probably next season. I think there's too much going on right now. But like restricting communication between family members. I mean, they're obviously working on some really like classified stuff, but that seems a bit off. Like usually you trust your employees and you subject them to NDAs, but if they break that, it can be. But preemptively filtering all communication seems a bit off. And on that subject, kind of rewinding back to the Pidge angle, just a little interesting tidbit I noticed is that in the flashbacks we see her taking on quite a feminine pose with her ankles crossed and her arms like held behind her back. And it's interesting that when you fast forward to once she and Matt have reunited, she actually starts doing that pose again, and I haven't seen her do that this entire show. So
yeah,
kudos to the writing and animation team for that.
It was a really cool moment. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But yes, I did call Narti.
Care to elaborate for our new listeners?
Yes, I think it was maybe 2 months ago, even maybe 3 months ago, we were discussing the very end of Season 3, and the Season 4 trailers had come out, and I was looking through, and I saw that there's this scene where Prince Lotor lunges and attacks someone with a sword, and you don't know who he's attacking, but you see all of his generals in the background except for Nardi, and they're all horrified. So who could Lotor be attacking that would put all of his generals on edge? Might have been Nardi. And so I theorized as such. You can actually listen to it in that episode. 1 hour, 13 minutes, 30 seconds in. And then turns out I was right. So, yay.
You get
the Jeff was right section.
You get the forewarning award.
Yes. But, no, that gets into the whole Galran politics thing, which I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I was a huge fan of in Black Site.
Yeah, hit us with the Galra politics, guys.
I'm like a little less interested in the Galran politics, unless you mean like I'm interested in what Lotor's doing.
Specifically Lotor.
okay, like, I'm interested to see what Lotor's plan is, because it seems to be not necessarily in the Empire's favor. It seems like he's doing something that might even be to undermine Zarkon himself, which could lead to some time in the show where we have Voltron and Lotor not exactly being allies, but being kind of parallel in their goals at some points, which could be very interesting and could lead us to what I've always wanted, which is Lotor being in a room with the Paladins so they can talk. Like, I'd really want that to happen. And this just shows how they're so much better with Lotor than Zarkon. Lotor, every time he's on the screen, I'm like, what is he doing? But I also don't think they're doing, like, the really bad thing in shows where they just have, like, mystery without actually knowing what they're doing. They have a goal here with Lotor, and I just want to know what it is. And this has all been really cool. The Hagar and Zarkon stuff I'm a little bit less interested in, because in this episode, remind me if I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Hagar, like, get back her memories at the end of season 3?
I was always a bit, like, I had no idea what she meant by how could I have forgotten. Like, was her memory did she totally forget she was ever married to this guy? Because
I thought that was
interesting. Yeah. And that's being backed up in this episode where she's, like, studying her Altean face in a magic mirror. It's like, whoa, what have I done to myself? Like, this is super interesting to me, because this political intrigue at the top, like, there's a lot of ways this could go.
And she also seemed to remember her cat that Narti had, which I think is still her cat.
Yes, it looks like it, and the cat did survive. They clearly showed that, so I wonder what that's going to happen. I don't know if it was the cat, and this whole psychic connection between her and Narti, I don't know. Are we supposed to take away from this that she sort of planted a psychic virus or something in Narti that allowed her to, like, see through the cat, or was she, like, communicating with Narti, like, on like activating her as a sleeper agent? I don't know.
I think this was a misdirect. I think the whole time that we were seeing Hagar controlling the cat, and the cat was in some way affecting Narti, and so I think that's what we were seeing, because she was actually getting vision, and Narti doesn't have eyes. So I think that this was through the cat, and Lotor just made a mistake, and he thought that Narti was under Hagar's control. I think that's what was happening.
It might be that.
But, of course, it was obviously very vague, and we just saw very few snippets of what was going on, so it could just be that she was controlling Narti. I'm just not sure how she would do that.
Yeah. One other really cool thing I thought about in the whole Gawron angle, apparently we have... he no longer is Zarkon, he is now Darth Zarkon.
Yes.
Yeah, he's gone full-on Mecha Emperor... Yeah.
And his voice even changed, like, in the same way.
Is this his final form?
Who knows? But I'm wondering, is this because he wants to be powered up, or is he so injured that this is like an exoskeleton for him?
I think that Zarkon isn't completely in control. Like, that was the first thing I thought when Hagar covered up Zarkon's mouth. I think the reveal is that Hagar is in more control of Zarkon than we see right now, because we haven't seen Zarkon move without any helmet yet. So I'm suspicious of Hagar right now.
Are we sure Zarkon is in the Zarkon suit? Like,
yes, we saw him when they put the suit on. We did see his face and stuff. It just didn't look like he was necessarily moving or cognizant when they put on the suit. He was just kind of a body sitting in a chair when they did it.
He seems to be very like exuding a very Zarkon level of attitude. Like, for example, when Hagar was like, something is up with him, like, he had a strong ancient energy, and Zarkon's like, he is of no concern to me. This is the exact attitude that he exhibited in season 1, where he's like, all I care about is the Black Lion, and nothing else matters to me. So I don't know why Hagar would fake that, or would cause him to fake that, if she was actually in control. So I don't know if I
guess I forgot that he disagreed with her that one time, so I guess that doesn't make sense then. But it still is strange that he was not moving at all. Like, we haven't seen him move at all, I don't think. Like, he's just been sitting in that chair. Like,
that might go to the fact that he might be super injured right now. And the only way he can be there is to help the exosuit.
He is definitely still really injured.
Speaking of mechs, Dark Voltron confirmed. I mean, come on.
Yes. He's making 3 ships. It's gonna be a Dark Voltron with 3 different ships at this point instead of 5, but they and they all look the same too. Like the ships look the same to each other, or at least similar.
And then, calling it now, we captured Dark Voltron. I got 2 pilots for you right here. I got Keith and I got Matt. We just need 1 more, and we have a full 8-person 2-mech Power Rangers awesome team super mech.
Like, yeah, when are the 2 mechs gonna combine? That's the real question. When is Dark Voltron and Season 7? Just gonna throw that number out there.
We gotta find a smaller mini mech that breaks apart and connects the 2 mechs. And that's gonna be a whole arc, is going to find the mini mech to connect the mechs.
That's just Power Rangers rules. Also, we lasted a lot longer before Power Rangers than normal, Justin.
Okay, look, here's my thing. When I first started podcasting, I was like, Power Rangers! And now I try to only insert Power Rangers when it is necessary. But when you have 5 people piloting robots that combine into one super robot, it's gonna happen!
And they're all color coordinated.
Yes, like it's going to happen. I will make Power Rangers references because that is the only logical show comparison I have.
No, this is. I think this is a logical comparison
It's
because
that
I do
or Mini
think.
Force. Take your pick.
What about Beetleborgs?
I don't want to talk about Big Bad Beetleborgs. I'll talk about Mystic Knights. I'll talk about VR Troopers. I'll talk about tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills, but not Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I'm scrubbing through episode 3, and the moment when Lotor kills Narti.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Like, the moment he kills Narti, he doesn't kill the cat. He kills Narti.
Yes.
Hagar's magic portal mirror thing goes away. So
it does.
It can't have been just through the cat. It had to have involved Narti.
But it doesn't make sense that she has vision. Like, maybe Narti was like some kind of beacon that let her hold on, because like she was seeing things. Like that doesn't make sense.
It must have involved the sensory organs of the cat, but Narti it must also involve the cat's eyes.
Yeah. So can Hagar look through Narti looking through the cat's eyes?
That must have been what's happening, because there's no other explanation.
There's no other explanation at that point.
What I liked about this whole showdown at the end also was that it revealed the mechanism whereby Lotor has actually been constructing these ships, because him and his 4 generals, like, they do not have the manpower to actually build these ships. No. I mean, we can, like, fudge around it because, you know, the very last episode of season 3, they, like, oh, the ships practically build themselves. You know, I was like, okay, not really, but whatever. But no, here we show that, okay, it should have been clear from the beginning, like, in the Golden Society, a lot of this manpower is provided by drones and, you know, robots. So, okay.
Yeah.
Question answered. But one question that's not answered is that when Lotor was discussing the plan of how to, you know, scuttle the ship, he said, okay, you two take the 2 ships, and then we'll load up the meteor onto my ship. So 3 ships, right? But then, you know, we get this huge volley, and then we have, you know, everything's going, getting destroyed, and only 2 ships leave the theater of action. So
I thought it was that pink thing trailing them was the comet, the last piece of comet they had, but it was pretty small, if that was it.
Okay, I see that. I don't know what that is.
That was my assumption. I didn't know what it was.
Oh, well, I'm single stepping through the frames, and that seems to just be a jet trail. And in any case, he did talk about having 3 ships get out of there. So
where's the there has to be a comet there, so I'm not sure where they put it. Maybe
the comet is still. The comet might still be there and in Zarkon's control right now. And then maybe next episode or whatever, Lotor comes, hey, Voltron, come help me liberate this meteor, because neither of us want Zarkon to have it.
Yeah, that could lead to that. That would be interesting.
Who knows? But
it also, I don't think we've talked about it, but a character died essentially on screen.
Yeah.
That was really surprising to me.
Huge fan of that.
Like, it was done very well. Like, we didn't see, like, it was clear that the character died, but it wasn't unnecessarily, the visuals weren't unnecessarily gory in any way. It was very well done, I think, for the type of show this is. and it really raised the stakes. I think that this was a really good moment in the episode, and a very surprising one.
And it's curious what these other generals are going to do in reaction to that. I think, some of them look very aloof and just whatever, like that's how it goes. And some of them are very depressed. And I don't know, are they depressed that their friend had to die or depressed that their leader, killed her out of, anger and spite? And are they going to turn on him? Who knows?
But this also shows that Lotor, like, we've been seeing Lotor as, like, possibly a better person than, like, just a better person than other Galra, but he just killed one of his, like, what seems to be someone he's really close with just because they were being controlled by someone else. He was really quick to kill them, and that does show a difference between him and other people, despite us seeing that he was a quote-unquote better person than other Galra. It was a very interesting moment in this episode.
Mm-hmm. One of the questions I have tangentially related is, like, now obviously when he was put on the throne, it made his movements a lot easier. He didn't have to flip in the background back and forth, but it doesn't seem like anything he's gotten up to at this point has relied on him being at the head of the Galran Empire. He could have done all this from the background. So
I think the only thing that I think that the thing he needed by being in control, what he needed was the manpower to initially procure the comet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's. I think that might have been the only thing he needed, and he also needed to get the comet without Zarkon knowing. Because I think if he had tried to go for the comet, I have a feeling Zarkon knew about that thing. He just had no idea how to get in there without Voltron. And I think with Zarkon down, he took that moment to get the comet and hide it from Zarkon while he was unconscious.
And I think he kind of alluded to that, where he was talking and he was saying, like, I don't need to be Emperor anymore, like, let him take it. And so I think he was like, I needed it to get the comet, we're good. We're good now.
Yeah, that's what I got from it, but again, Lotor has not explained his plan to the audience yet, so we have no idea what he's actually doing. He might have done something with his power as Emperor for a little bit that we don't know about, but I just don't think he's at all interested in being Emperor to begin with.
Oh, no, that was always the show.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's interested in being an Emperor on his own terms once he's completely dismantled Galran society, but don't know.
And that brings us to the end of another fantastic Voltron podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. You can find out all the info on this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can join us on Discord to text chat about animation at overlyanimated.com/Discord. You can support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Jade, aka Jewel. Thanks as always to our Patreon executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. We got more Voltron coming up, and we got Ruby coverage starting. We've got Ladybug coming up in a couple weeks. So really packed month for us here at Overly Animated, and I hope you all stay tuned. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao now.